Hello and welcome to another cooking demonstration in the virtual Crookwell Potato Festival Patata Cafe International Kitchen. I'm Brian, I live in Crookwell and I just love Crookwell potatoes. And let's face it, what's not to like? They are delicious, they're nutritious and they are so versatile. As we hope you're discovering through watching this series of cooking demos, there's so many good things you can do with Crookwell potatoes. They're fantastic. Now today I'm going to show you how to make a traditional Danish recipe. The Danes call this Brunede Kartofler. Sounds like a mouthful. It actually just means browned potatoes. Of course in English we would probably be more likely to call them caramelized baby potatoes. Now the ideal potatoes are about this size, quite small ones. You'll want the new potatoes. And today the variety I'm using is called the Crookwell Red Blush, locally grown in our beautiful red basalt soils. Fantastic potatoes. Nice red skin, sadly we're going to take that off, but if you ever do them as whole potatoes with the skin on, they look fantastic. Inside they have a lovely golden orange flesh and they're sort of rich, nutty, buttery flavour. They're fantastic. So, what do you need? Well, first of all, you're going to need about 1 kilo of these lovely potatoes. Ideally, like I said, about that size. Not drama if they're a little bit bigger. Basically what you're going to do is to wash the bulk of the dirt off, and then you're going to put it in a big saucepan, this one, with a little bit of salted water, and gently simmer for about 10 minutes until they're just tender. You don't want to overcook them. Once they've been simmered, you're going to drain them in the colander, and while they're still warm, you're going to rub the skins off. If you get them right, you should find the skin just rubs off really nicely and easily, just like that. So it takes a lot of the fiddliness out of the process. So I'll just recap that for the fellas watching this. First of all, you're going to wash the potatoes, you're going to cook the potatoes, you're going to drain the potatoes, and then you're going to remove the skins of the potatoes. Then you put them to one side. So once you've removed the skins off the potatoes, you're going to end up with a bowl looking something like this. Now these are about the right size. There was 1 or 2 in there that were a little bit big, so I actually have cut them in half because you don't want the potatoes to be too big. So if you do have potatoes that are a little bit bigger than you're expecting, that's fine. Okay, so that's the potato side of it. Now the other ingredients, you're going to need about 100 grams of sugar, white sugar. You're going to need roughly 50 grams of butter. And because I'm doing a Crookwell variation on this theme, I'm also going to use a little bit of local yellow box honey. We have fabulous yellow box honey here, and it just adds that little extra to the dish. The Danes sometimes add things like brown sugar and cinnamon and so on, but the traditional recipe basically is butter and sugar. But feel free to experiment. You're the cook and it's your kitchen, so do what you like. Okay, you're also going to need a nice large frying pan, some kind of cooking appliance, and a wooden spoon to stir with. The tricky bit with this is you get your frying pan on the stove, medium to high heat. It's got to be pretty hot but not too hot, and this is the really hard part. You pour the sugar in like that. Okay, critical thing at this point is not to do anything more. You don't stir it, you don't poke it, you don't prod it. But there are 3 things you need to be aware of. One is, obviously, you don't molest the sugar until it's done its thing. You're going to wait for it to melt and caramelise, basically. Secondly, do not leave it unattended. Okay, so don't go off to log onto Facebook. Don't go and log onto Netflix and start watching The Walking Dead or anything like that. If the phone rings, ignore it. If it's important, they'll leave a message. The reason for that is that sugar, when it goes, it can suddenly go very fast. And it can be embarrassing if you burn your house down, so we don't want you to do that. Don't do that. Secondly, you may need to adjust the heat up and down a bit. You want to be hot enough to melt the sugar and caramelise, but you don't want it to be too hot because it'll actually burn the sugar, and burnt sugar tastes very bitter. Now the other critical thing is, you keep an eye on it, don't poke it, don't do anything to it. When you're ready to, you're going to then add the honey and the butter, and it may sizzle up a bit at that stage. So what we've got to do now, we'll just wait for the sugar to heat up and start to melt, which shouldn't take too long. Okay, so now you can see the sugar has started to liquefy, so it's basically melting. It's transitioning from the solid phase to a liquid phase, and very soon it's going to start bubbling and it'll start to brown off a bit. So this is the first step in making our lovely caramel sauce. You do need to be a little bit patient and just let that last little bit melt, but it won't be long now. Okay, so the sugar's now melted and started to caramelise. You can see there's a lovely rich brown colour developing there. And now I'm going to put in my yellow box honey. So just 1 tablespoon, you don't want to overdo it. And like I said, I'll just add an extra dimension to this. And now you can hear that lovely hissing sound. That's a good sign. And along with that, we're going to stick in our 50 grams of butter. Now you can adjust the amount of butter and so on to a degree. Basically what we're trying to do is to create a nice, rich, creamy, frothy caramel here. So we melt the butter in, keep stirring it. And already that smells absolutely wonderful. It's that lovely combination of the butter and the honey and the caramelising sugar. Okay, do need to keep this one moving, because if you don't, you risk getting a bit of a burn. So that's the start of the caramel sauce. And what we now do is take our potatoes we prepared earlier, that we boiled and peeled, and we're just going to simply add them to the frying pan. So, and what we do now, so these potatoes are pre-cooked, they don't need a lot of cooking, they're really just going to be heating them through, coating them in the caramel and browning them off. So this next step shouldn't take more than about 5 to 6 minutes. And really all you've got to do is to keep the potatoes moving, keep turning them so they get evenly coated and thoroughly warmed through. Okay, we're now at the end of the cooking process, and you can see from there that we have our beautiful caramelised Danish baby potatoes. I'm just going to transfer those into a dish. Sorry, you probably can't see that because the frying pan was in the way. Just turn that one off. So, like I said, this is a traditional Christmas dish served in Danish households on Christmas Eve. In fact, the Danes celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve. It usually is served alongside roast pork and red cabbage simmered in blackcurrant juice, and all sorts of other, delicious Danish offerings. So Danes, for instance, like to make thin slices of cucumber pickled in vinegar and a little bit of sugar. It is traditionally done on Christmas Eve and served warm, but it actually tastes really good the following day served cold, and a lot of Danes will actually cook this any time because they just like it. So there you have it, Danske Brunede Kartofler, Danish caramelised potatoes. And thank you so much for supporting the Crookwell Potato Festival this year. We hope to see you in 2021.